Nothing But Net with Debbie Antonelli on our podcast, because I love scorers and I love shooters, and you fit the definition of that for sure. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
The origination of where were you, or what were you put on this earth to do? The answer is score, came from decades of conversation with your head coach, Bill Fenley. I go way back with the Fenley family, and I have watched and followed that success for a long time. So let's get right to it. You are 24.6 points per game right now at the taping of this podcast, which is sixth in the nation. How?
My teammates do a great job. They get me the ball when I'm open, but you just have to play how the defenders are guarding you. So if you can't score one way, you have a counter move, or you kick it out to your teammates and they knock down shots, kind of spread out the defense more. So just team effort.
I knew you were going to say team effort, because I know that's who you are. And that's the right answer, right? It's always about your team. It's never about you. But let's focus on you for a second, because you've been outstanding in your whole career at Iowa State. This is not a surprise or new to those that have followed the game or watched your success, that you have been able to be a very efficient, high-level scorer in all three levels. Why have you been able to add to your game every year? How does that happen?
The defenders get better. They understand the way you play. So you always have to work on something new to get better and be able to counter the way that the defenders are guarding you. So like this summer over quarantine, when I was home with my dad, we'd watch film and different things to learn different ways I can counter the way the defenders are guarding me.
Do you watch a lot of film to learn and study tendencies of the other team? And when you study film, a lot of times players just lock in on themselves. They're not watching other things. What are you watching when you watch film?
It kind of depends. Like if I'm watching one of our games, I'll watch what I'm doing and the way the defenders are guarding. But if we're watching like to prepare for a game, you watch more of like the tendencies for the players you're going to play against.
Ashley, some players are defined by having incredible analytics to the way they play. You know, they're cerebral, they think what you're describing. Some are so instinctive that they just know how to make a play when the time comes. Which combination are you, or, you know, if you could put a percentage on it, how would you evaluate your own scout?
I'd say a little bit of like 50-50, maybe a little more instinctive. Just because when we practice, we do the moves over and over, and it kind of becomes muscle memory. So when you're out there, you don't have to think, you just do it.
Yeah. How much repetition comes into being able to feel like you have the confidence to know that if they go under this screen, I'm going to shoot it. If they come over on the high side, you know, I'm going to reject it. You just have to be able to put in a lot of reps to be able to understand and read. How does that work ethic pay off for you? And what's a routine that you do to make sure that you understand how to counter and be able to score like you can score?
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. You always have to be in the gym. You have to always know different counter moves and work on them constantly, just so that when you are in the game, you don't have to think about it. You can just they stop you that way, and then you go the other way, and you just have that counter move, and you don't have to think, really.
You guys got a young team, but you got a lot of ballers. I mean, you got a lot of players who can score, you can handle, you can play in a spread, you can play in a ball screen offense. I mean, what is that, 813 or 12 straight games where you've made a three? It's pretty incredible, really, when you think about it. Where do you think you guys have the greatest opportunity to grow with this young team?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have a lot of talent, and we're always in the gym getting better, always getting shots up. And so just I think executing, we all know what we're supposed to be doing. We listen to the scout, listen to the coaches, but just going out on the court and being able to execute every time, I think that's something that we can always get better at.
Some people are natural leaders. Some people just have to gravitate to that position because they're the best player. You know, what kind of leader are you, and how do you bring this young team along with the experience of the Big 12 that you've had?
Yeah, well, I think everyone knows by now I'm not a very like outgoing person, so I lead more by example, but I have gotten a little better at talking to them and kind of speaking up more. So I think that is something that I've had to grow into over the last couple of years, and especially this year with us having such a young team.
So give me an example, like you're in the Baylor game, it's a 1 or 2 possession game, you're on the road. You guys have not won there at Iowa State since before you were even born. What's it like having to take on that communication part of it at that moment?
Yeah, you just have to tell them to relax. A lot of times when you're younger, you get kind of caught up in the game. You get going a little too fast. So you just have to take a deep breath, relax, and just play the way we know how to play. So just kind of reminding them that it's fine. The teams always go on a run, but now it's time for us to go on a run, and you just have to stay calm and keep playing.
Game time and winning time are your time. When the game's on the line, everybody knows the ball's going through you. You're going to have to make a play either for yourself or somebody else, or come up with a big rebound. What does that feel like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a spot every player wants to be in. I mean, you want to have the ball in your hands when the game's on the line. It's something a lot of players dream about, just kind of being in that big moment. So, I mean, it means a lot that I am in that position, and you just have to be confident, go get the ball, and take care of it.
I call Bill Fenley Blueprint Bill. I think every time he puts a game plan together, he gives the rest of the world a blueprint. There's only a few coaches that I really say that about. He's one of them, because I think because he's been around for so long and he understands tendencies, and I don't even know how much analytics comes in, but he has an incredible feel for how you play. He has an incredible feel for his team. He knows his players' strengths. He knows what to do to put you in a winning position. When he's putting a blueprint together, like last year, for example, part of my summer study was I watched your game against Baylor again because I wanted to watch what he did to be able to beat Baylor at home. And I saw a lot of triangle and two, a lot of junk. And I mean, I know he's legendary for this side of the floor, we're in man, this side of the floor, we're in zone. This person has the ball, we're going to switch this. I mean, there's a lot of high level stuff to follow. When Blueprint Bill is putting a plan together and it seems like it's incredibly, like difficult and challenging to have to handle, how do you get that to a point where with your young team, you know exactly how to help them through that?
Yeah, we watch the film and kind of talk about it, and then we'll do it in practice. And I think a lot of us learn best from doing it in practice. So just getting repetitions and going over it, and if you have questions, always asking and making sure we understand what we're doing at certain times on the court. So I think just the repetitions that we do to go through it before the games is just what really helps.
Ashley Hilton magic is a real thing. I mean, I've
Yeah.
experienced it this year. There's no fans, or I don't even know if you can have any fans at all, or a small capacity, but it's much different in your environment than it ever is. What's that been like for you guys when everybody can hear everything you're saying and you can hear the other team's calls and you can, just be in a different kind of focus than when you have a crowd to help lift your spirit when you need it?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot different. Our fans usually help out a lot just with the energy in the gym. But I think our teammates on the sidelines are always bringing energy, and we just have to keep our energy up as the game's going on. It is a little different because you can hear the play calls. Like when everyone's in there, sometimes you can't hear exactly what they're calling, but it is different. And we just have to uh, keep playing and keep battling because that's how this year's going to go, and you never know what to expect.
So you appear to be a person to me that doesn't get too high or too low. Like you're hard to read in a game. You're all business and you're all focused, which is a great quality. That way your opponents can never get under your skin. I'm sure you've had a little trash talking at you during games. You don't have to tell me who. I'm just curious, like what they might say to you.
Um, Honestly, I couldn't really tell you because I kind of block it all out. I'm just out there playing. They can say whatever they want to say. It doesn't really bother me at all. I use it more so as motivation, I guess. So I just block it out, block everything out, and just go out there and play.
Now, I never had the game that you had, but I did get people talking trash to me, and I wasn't physically capable of handling it myself. Like I wasn't some enforcer out there on the floor, but I had an enforcer. And if somebody talked too much trash, I had some protection, like a hard screen maybe, or an extra box out. Do you have anybody on your team that's got your back?
I think pretty much everyone does. We all have each other's backs. We're all if someone's in trouble or needs a little extra help, we'll definitely be there to help them out.
Okay, so just to button up this whole thing about beating Baylor, which was a significant win, obviously. Baylor has traditionally been the team that has won your league or won 10 of the last 12 outright Big 12 championships. They've been the dominant team. What does this do for a young team's confidence to get that kind of win on the road?
Yeah, it does a lot, especially to win against a big team and on the road. I think it kind of shows us where we're at and that we can compete with the highest level. And so we just have to, again, learn from what happened during that game, what we did well and what we didn't do well, and just use that to get better for the next game.
I assume you have some aspiration to play professional basketball at some point. And I also know that you're an elementary education major. So when your playing days are finished, whenever that might be, how will you use your education from Iowa State?
I'd like to go teach and kind of help out the next generation in the classroom. And I'd also like to coach and help them out on the basketball court as well.
Do you have a specific level that you want to coach?
Probably high school, I think.
Okay. All right. You've obviously you're an Iowa kid. You grew up in Iowa City. Joenses is the famous restaurant. You and your sisters, your four sisters, have all worked at the restaurant. Tell us what life is like in Iowa City on a day-to-day basis around family and hoops.
That's about all we do. We usually wake up, go to work. In the afternoon, my mom usually stays at work because it's a little slower. And then the rest of us go to the gym, get some shots up, and then we head back to work around 5 o'clock for the dinner hour.
When you guys all go to the gym, I'm assuming you're talking about you and your four sisters. You all go, right?
Yep, and my dad usually goes with us. He watches a lot of videos and reads a lot of books, so he'll have different drills and different things for us to work on.
I mean, it's a coach parent dream to have 5 players. Like everybody talks about man or zone, but we don't care about defense, Ashley. We care about offense, right? So you got all 5 of you in the gym there together with your dad. What's your favorite drill to do with your sisters, and which drill is the one you dislike the most?
I don't know. We do a lot of shooting drills. One of my favorite is probably, it's called Kobe, and you have to make 2 3-pointers on one end, and then you run down to the other end, and you have to make 2 in a row. So like 2 in a row, and then you go on to the next spot, and we go 7 spots on the 3-point line, and you try to get like your fastest time.
Who's the best shooter out of the Joens girls?
Kind of depends on the day, but
yeah,
me and Aubrey are usually up there.
Do you guys chart everything that you do in the summer?
Yeah, we usually, over this summer, we didn't really have a gym for a while, so we could only shoot like stationary shots. So we keep track of our percentages and how much we shot each day. And you just try to beat it every day.
Are there any shots or drills or anything that you do to compete against your sisters for chores at the restaurant?
No, not really. It's whoever wants to work. Unless they need someone to work, then someone gets pushed into doing it. So we don't really compete for it.
Well, I mean, it's just a unique family setting, right? I mean, it's just a cool thing that you all 5 girls, you're all working at the restaurant. It's got to be the place to go to in town, I'm guessing. I mean, the next time I'm there, I'm definitely checking it out. What am I going to order when I go there? Are there any sandwiches with all your names on it?
There's not. but we're known for our breaded pork tenderloins. They're like that big.
No sandwich with your name on it yet?
Nope. I'll have to bring that up to them.
I think that's good dinner table conversation. Like, what is going to be the name of your dish? Because, you're not really somebody who dishes. You're more of a shooter.
Yeah.
There's some irony to that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I'll have to bring it up to my dad and see what he's got.
Yeah, I think your dad's got to step up. I'm going to call him out right now. Tell him he's got to get to work on a sandwich with your name on it, for sure. What's your favorite part about growing up in Iowa and going to play basketball at Iowa State?
I'd say definitely the fans and the community around here. I mean, they all kind of watched and followed me in high school, and then they kind of got to see me here in college. So just having that support and the fans that follow you and watch you every day. Like, we'll have people come into the restaurant and be like, oh, we watched Ashley on TV. She did so great. And they'll make the trip down to Iowa City just to talk to my parents or something. So it's just really neat to see the support with the community and people around Ames and Iowa City.
That's pretty cool. You get a lot of comparison to Bridget Carlson. It could be a combination of you both played at Iowa State. It could be you're very similar in size and skill set. What do you say to people when they say that to you?
I don't really say much. I just say, yeah, but I mean, I'm myself. I have to use Bridget as a benchmark, see what she did, but kind of go down my own path and do my own thing.
I'm going to guess the word sacrifice is something that is a big part of your conversation as a part of your family or as a member of this team, just because it's a strong intangible for teams that really want to be great. Sometimes you have to sacrifice maybe a little bit of your own to make sure that the team has success. And certainly working in the restaurant with your family, there's probably some things you got to sacrifice as a team in there. What do you think? Because you're on two different really big teams, your family and Iowa State. What do you think are some of the most important attributes of a good team?
Just being all in. You have to commit to the team, and if something doesn't go right, you just have to work and get better at it just so that you can help out the team in any way.
I want to know what Bill was like the next day in practice after you beat Baylor.
Well, we watched the end of the Baylor film that game and kind of talked about what we did well and what we could improve on a little bit. And then we went out, shot free throws, and it was a time where we could talk about the game, kind of celebrate and reminisce about how well we did because it was such a big accomplishment. And then it was on to the next. It's all business. You have a good win or you lose, you just have to keep moving on. You don't really look back.
The Big 12 is always a challenge. There's some really good teams in that league, including Baylor. Texas is going to be a team that's going to be talked about in that league. Of course, you're ranked this week, so congratulations on being ranked. When people ask you about how tough the Big 12 is, what is the one or two things that come to your mind?
The girls are all big and they're strong, and it's filled with a lot of talent. I mean, you have to go out, you have to be ready and prepared and battle each time. No team's going away. If you get up, they're coming right back. They're not going to just let you keep going.
Ashley, thank you so much for being a part of Nothing But Net with me. And I hope that sometime we can have you back on, and wish you nothing but success the rest of the season. And give Bill Fenley a big high five for me when you can.
I will. Thank you.
Dana, I'm all, and I know you are too, especially those that can really shoot it. And you continue to improve in your game in so many different levels. I want to start with being number one in the country. I mean, that's a first time Louisville's been number one in the nation. When you wake up the next morning and you're the number one team in the country, what does that feel like?
It's a great feeling. It just shows that hard work, the long days, the long nights, the time in the gym that you spend, it pays off. I think we have a special group, and what I love is we're still willing to get better. We're not going to settle just for just being number one. We're going to continue to work and continue to stay in the gym.
So working and staying in the gym are two things that are synonymous with you, because you've done a few things that no one's ever done in the history of the ACC. Everybody talks about going from, the sixth player and most improved to being, or being the most improved player to being the ACC player of the year and an All-American last year. And sometimes your name is synonymous with Angel McCaughtry and some other greats that have not just played at Louisville, but have played the game. When you think about all of your individual success, and you think about where your team is this year, how important and valuable is your leadership in all of that, getting this team ready to go?
It's extremely important. We have a really talented team, but we are young. We are inexperienced in a way. I'm the only senior on this team, so they listen to me, and they look up to what I do and how I handle things, and how I take things. So I think me being a leader, I have to set the best example for my freshmen, my newbies, the ones that's transferred. I had to set the tone and set the example.
It looks like you've taken Haley Van Lith under your wing a little bit. Like she's really good and she's strong and physical. And then Keanu Smith, another good perimeter player. And we could keep going right down the list, but let's just talk about those two players right now. How do those two on the perimeter help take a little bit of pressure off of you?
Well, they can take some scoring load off of me. I don't always have to score 20 a night. I mean, I know that's my average, but that's not what I have to do in order for us to win. I think that takes pressure off of me. Then I can get up and play some more defense, knowing that I don't have to save anything in the tank. I can give it my all the whole game. I don't have to pace because I'm playing with other good players. Not saying that last year I did, nor the years prior to this I didn't, because we've had talented teams ever since I stepped foot on campus. But every team that I've been with has been different. It showed a different dynamic to the team. And I think this team has a lot of different shooters, which spreads the floor a ton for me to get to the basket and get in the lane and mix things up.
Now, I've been covering you for a long time, so you and I know each other pretty well. One of the things I love to talk about is the 3 W's of a good point guard: who to get the ball to, when, and where. And that's based on knowing personnel, knowing everybody's skill set, and being able to find the right shooter at the right time when you can give them the basketball where they are at their best and you can score. How do you feel about your 3 W's with this year's team?
I think my W's are pretty good because I'm learning them, and we're halfway through the season now, and I pretty much know where they want the ball, their spots. Kiana is really good at the trail four because a lot of fours go to the paint, whereas Kiana can catch and shoot the three well. Another thing she likes to catch it on the go to make a quick move. She doesn't need a ton of dribbles to get to where she needs to get to. She's quick with that, whether that's a step back and then push through to do an easy layup. And she loves the floater game. With Haley, she loves spot threes. That's something that she's good at. When I get in the lane, her man sink in. It's just an easy kick to her in the corners, wing, or wherever. And she likes to catch the ball on the go too. She's a physical guard. She loves contact. So getting her the ball at the elbow and letting her rip and drive and get to the line and finish is something that she loves to do.
Olivia Cochran is a big that runs. And I always talk about players that run the floor like that. I wish we statted it. Like if we didn't just have to put points and rebounds up on the board where people can see, if they put up like the screen assist or the rim runs or other things that are so making the extra pass that leads to the pass, like seeing the floor, creating space. How fun is it to play with Elizabeth Dixon and Olivia Cochran that absolutely sprint every time? What does that do for you as a point guard?
It helps me. It helps me get my team going. It even helps me to push the ball even more down the court. And I think Olivia Cochran is a freshman that I don't think gets enough credit for what she do because she's so talented and she brings so much to this team. But she's been a great addition. I think she has really good hands. She can catch any pass you throw to her. Now her next growth moment is just making quick moves, not always having to put the ball on the floor in the post because they're digging in and they're pinching. So that's her next her next step to be even better. But I think what impresses me the most with Olivia Cochran is the way that she sees the floor as a post player. Sometimes when she gets double, she make drag passes, and that's pretty good for a freshman. Elizabeth Dixon, I would say she's definitely improved so much from last year. Her hands has gotten so much better. Her finishes around the rim, whether that's a left hook or right hook, finishing with contact. I just feel like she's just more confident this year. She's playing really well. She had a double in our game Sunday, and I want to say she played about 16 to 20 minutes, that's really impressive. And she's grown a lot, and she still is in the gym and still getting better. She's not letting that determine what she do next. She's going to get it. She's going after it.
Confidence and chemistry, two things that you guys have a lot of right now. And at the summertime and COVID, when you guys were all together, there were a lot of sacrifices that you guys made as normal college students, not to be able to go out, can't go out to dinner. You had to stay in your own little group in your own bubble. Having that many women together for that long of a period of a time could be challenging for some teams, but not for you guys. Why?
Because we all want to be in a gym. We all are gym rats and we all want to get better. This is a group where coach does not have to tell us get in the gym and get extra shots. I think it started with me setting the tone, and then I would just see everybody getting in the gym, everybody coming in on off days, everybody getting extra work after practice or even before. And that just makes me happy because it's letting me know that we're not settling. We're going to continue to get in the gym. We're going to stay in the gym. We're going to watch film with our coaches after every game. We're going to watch the games. We're going to study our scouts. And we've just been dialed in. We've just been focused.
You guys, I don't want to bring up a negative here, but I do think about it because I think there's a point of growth for you that sometimes players look back and point at certain moments and things that happen. Last year in the ACC tournament, you guys didn't close out the game the way you would have wanted to. This year, you are closing out games. You've had some close games. You've had some that haven't been close. Where do you think your confidence level is at the end of a game? Is it like that Virginia Tech finish, the way Jeff has always pointed to, the couple of defensive plays you made, the couple of passes that you made, a couple of buckets you made? Or where are you at the end of a game? Like, do you relish the opportunity to be that closer and want the ball in your hands?
Yes, I cherish those moments. Those are the moments that I live for because it just goes back to the time in the gym. This is what I do, and it's not a surprise to me anymore when I'm able to close a game out like that because that's why I do. That's why I play this game. And I would say for me, what has helped me a lot is just don't panic. I think I've learned to just take some deep breaths and just go with the moment and not overthink it. Last year I was overthinking. I was kind of I was pressing. This year I don't have to press. I can get people the ball to score it, not just depending on myself. I think that's where I have grown as a point guard as well, learning the game, seeing the game before it happens, and watching film. That's something that I've done a lot. I've watched a ton of film just to understand when, where, who to get the ball to, like you say all the time.
Dana, what is something that you use as motivation? Is there a past experience? Is it a person? Is it your work ethic? Where does that intrinsic desire to compete that you have and that high level that you play with come from?
That's my favorite question. I would say the doubters, for one, the naysayers, the people that said in high school, she's too small, she'll never make it at the Division I level, or she can't shoot, she just drives by everybody, she's just so fast. Oh, well, then I shot 40% from the three. Oh, she don't have a left hand. That's all I did this summer was work on different finishes with my left hand. She's just gonna bully her way through the lane. She's not gonna make that pass. I'm trying to jump my assists up to about 6 a game. Is she really a point guard? Does she get everybody involved, or is she just a scorer? And that's where I'm starting to learn to pick people apart with my passes and not just my scoring, using my speed in different ways where it's not just to score, it's to set people up. people saying something if somebody say that I cannot do something, I write it down and I make sure I do it. And I keep doing it and I keep doing it and I perfect it. I keep getting better. I'm a perfectionist. I will never just settle for this or that. I feel like it's always something that I can improve on or my team can improve on. So using what people say about me as motivation and proving people wrong, that's something that I just take pride in. I love it. I've been doing it since I was young, and when somebody say I can't win something or I can't do something, it's just when I prove them wrong, and it just makes me feel good.
That is my favorite answer. I love that. I love that you don't always feel like you have to prove something, but you do use it as motivation because you want to improve and you want to be the best you can be. That's why you're such a good leader for this team at this particular time and why you're number one in the country. When I met you as a freshman, we would not have been able to have this conversation because your growth wouldn't have been where it is as maturity as a young woman, but also your maturity as a basketball player. What would you attribute all of that to in your experience at Louisville and why you're ready? Now, I don't want to talk about the pros because you got a lot of basketball in front of you, but why you would be ready to be a professional player?
My mental has went from another level. Coming in as a freshman, I was an 18-year-old. I didn't know nothing. I was just here to play ball. But growing as a person and learning from everybody, like when I talk to people, whether that's Nick, Lamont, I listen to what they say. I ask questions. I'm always willing to get better at something, whether that's on the court or off the court or knowledge. I would say as a leader, I've grown because I've stepped out of my comfort zone as being a loner, being by myself, doing everything by myself. But now I'm learning to bring people in with me and learn more about people. So then that carries on to the court. As a leader, I can't just know what she likes to do on the court. I have to know what she likes to do off the court and learn what she's afraid of or why she don't do that in the game. You got to ask questions. You got to have uncomfortable conversations. That's another thing that I've grown in, because usually I'll just go in my room and not talk to anybody and just talk to my parents. But I've learned that as a leader that you can't be like that. You can't. That's something that I watched in Kobe's interview about Kyrie Irving and when he will take his game to the next level is learning people off the court. That's something that I've been trying to work on as well. But everything else that's come with Louisville, I would say I've just matured in so many different ways. I've matured on the court where my freshman year, if I would have went 2 for 9 or something like that, that could have dictated the rest of my game. And it could have carried over to 2 more games. It could have just screwed with my mind. This year, I can bounce back after a quarter, after 2 possessions. It's next play. Okay, get it back. It's not just dwelling on what just happened. It's being able to let it go and move on. The game of basketball is built on runs. You're not going to have a perfect 40-minute game. So me learning, okay, I didn't do this well in the first quarter. Now I know what to do. I wasn't shooting the ball well against Florida State. I was 4 for 11, but I was able to get everybody else involved. So that's something that I take pride in, whether that's dictating the game at a scoring level or dictating it as getting everybody else involved. So I've just learned a lot, and I'm excited because I'm still willing to learn more. And I think there's a lot more that I can learn and get better from.
You guys have had a lot of great players come through that program, and Jeff is tough at times, but we know it's tough love. And he beams with pride about your development and how hard you work when you're not around. So you don't always hear what he says, but I know sometimes he probably, is giving you the business. Shoot, Jeff gives everybody the business, right? I mean, that's part of who he is. That's why we love being around him, because he's going to be authentic and he cares. Right? He cares about your development as a person on and off the floor. What has your relationship been with Jeff? What has it been like, especially this year? Now you're number one. You're going to have a target on your back even greater than what you had before. What's your relationship been like with Jeff?
Well, I think our relationship is more about learning. He teaches me the game. He sits down with me and he points things out, whether it was good or bad, and he's always honest, regardless of if you want to hear it or not. He's gonna tell you the truth.
Isn't that what
And
you
I
want,
was
though? Wouldn't you rather him tell you exactly so that you can have that growth mindset?
Yes, because I'm a straight to the point type of person. I don't want you to have to beat around the bush with me, or I want you to just tell me how it is. So I know that's something that I need to do, or something that I can get better at, or something that I won't do if that's something I don't need to do. Um, and with Coach Walz, I would say just picking his brain. He's been around this game for a very long time, and just learning from him. That's the best thing about having him as a coach. He's a really good coach. We're number one for a reason, and just picking his mind.
Syracuse next. At the beginning of the season, there was a lot of conversation that Syracuse had the best backcourt in the ACC. Now, they got a really good backcourt, and I'm not setting you up to say anything negative about Kiara Lewis or Tiana Monakahia, because they're both great players in their own right. But that's a big part of the game plan, right? I mean, defending their guard play, their size up front. You've had a chance to take a peek at them. They're one of the ranked teams in the ACC. What's your thoughts on Syracuse? Because we will run this podcast before you play them.
They have a talented team. They have size, they have shooters, they have playmakers, they have an all-around solid team where we can't go in thinking we're the number one team and it's going to be handed to us, because no, that's now we have the biggest target on our back and we have to come in focused with a game plan. Coach Norman's going to put together a great scout. I know she will, and we just have to follow it. And we have to pay attention to details in this game because it's going to come down to possession by possession. So we have to be focused. We can't take anybody for granted because the ACC is a really challenging place. So you got to be ready every game.
All ball, all day, right, Dana? I mean, I get to call that game on Thursday on ESPN2, 9 o'clock, Louisville and Syracuse. I can't wait because as broadcasters, there are some games that we circle on our calendar as well because we're excited about. And then to have you as the number one team, well, that's just great. You know, like it just adds to what we already know is going to be a competitive game. If there's someone listening that doesn't know Dana, that's all 100% aware of your game, knows what kind of player you are, sees what kind of leader you've been with this team, what would be something else about you that you would want people to know?
I would just want people to know that I'm a competitor and I'm willing to do anything for my team to stay number one and to win a championship. That's the reason I came back to school, and that's what I want done.
Dana, I agree with that 100% because not many players around the country would let me put my GoPro on their head to teach some skill about how to work off screening action. It was one of the highlights of the year last year. I know it had to be a highlight for you.
It definitely was. It was cool, though.
Hey, really cool. Hey, listen, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We love breaking down the game with you. I appreciate how much your passion carries over to your skill set and how hard you work because you individually and collectively have helped elevate our game, and that's what we all want.
Thank you. Thank you so much.